welcome to diversity in the community. I am so excited and honored to have this young man with me today because I'm telling you, no matter who I dropped his name to, they know who he is. So again, I'm honored to have with me today Andre Rochester. Thank you so much
Thank you for
for
having
taking
me.
the time to come and sit here with me today.
It's an honor to sit here on the show and talk to you today. I'm looking forward to this interview. I've been excited about it, and it's nice to finally connect with you and make it happen.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, Tell the audience about yourself, what you do, and
So, I do a number of things.
uh-huh.
I hope you got some time.
Oh yeah, I got. It's all about you, honey. It's all about you.
Okay, so I'm a fine artist first and foremost. I'm an arts advocate. I am a curator. I'm a teaching artist, and I also do a little bit of speaking. So,
Hmm.
a number of different things that kind of make up my company, Rochester Fine Arts. So, those are the
Okay.
services I provide. I guess you can say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you go out to speak,
hmm
what exactly do you speak on?
I actually talk about my personal journey with art, becoming
Okay.
an artist, how I started. As a child, I had a tough time.
Hmm.
My mother was sick; she had multiple sclerosis. She was diagnosed when I was about 10 years old. So
Hmm.
I had to grow up really fast,
Wow.
and I used art as a coping mechanism to get through that. Unfortunately, my mother died when I was 16, and
Mm.
once again, there was art as
Mm.
that coping mechanism. I had to use some kind of tool in
Hmm.
order to deal with what I was going through.
Hmm.
There weren't a lot of people that I could talk to or that I can, kind of vent to as a kid.
Hmm.
The the lines are kind of blurred in terms of how much you can share as a child, how much you'll be listened to as a
Yeah.
child, and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
So I had my sketchbook to kind of pour into, and using art was a way for me to kind of cultivate this talent that I have
Hmm.
that now I'm doing full time as my career. This is it. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Um, like you said, your mom, you help take care of your mom, and I did
hmm
read. I always like to read about people before they come on. Um, what kind of hindrances did you have? Can't say that word right. Um, Being a child and trying to, you were interested in art. What kind of things came up against you trying to go to school and the monies and all of that kind of stuff?
Well, for me, let's see, with pursuing art as a kid, it actually wasn't a lot of hindrances because
Okay.
I had my godmother,
Oh, okay.
Paula Agnew.
All
I'll
right.
name
All right.
drop here because
Uh huh.
she's like my guardian angel,
Mhm.
and if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be here, and
Mhm.
that's just the honest to God truth.
Mhm.
She was the director of programs for Catholic Charities, and they had
Okay.
like a bunch of things going on for youth, and some of it was art related. And so, of course, because I was connected to her, she pulled me right in, took me under her wing, and she made sure that I was involved in some of that stuff. So I had the opportunity to work on murals and stuff as a kid.
Mhm.
Um, I was also a part of a organization called Youth Opportunities Harford.
Okay.
It's not around anymore, but Yo Harford was important because I had my first like real painting lesson through
Mhm.
them. They had an artist named Victor Pacheco
Mhm.
who gave me my first lesson in painting portraits. And
Okay.
actually, I think to this day, I still got that. I still got the piece that I worked on, which is pretty cool. But I was involved in arts related activities
Mhm.
as a teenager.
Mhm.
Now going to school, that was a different story. So the hindrance with going to school, of course, is money. All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
I got
Mhm.
accepted to some pretty big name art schools, but
Mhm.
money is what kept me from going. And
Wow.
unfortunately, I didn't go to my top school, but I did go to a great school.
Mhm.
I went to UConn School of Fine Arts and I studied illustration.
Wow.
Um, I wouldn't change anything about it, honestly. So going to UConn was a great experience because it helped me it helped me focus on the technical skill set of being an
Mhm.
artist,
Yeah.
and that's something that I had a little bit of
Mhm.
that as a
Mhm.
teenager, but I didn't get a lot. Maybe a few lessons here and there or whatever, but um, going to art school really showed me like what it is to be an artist and what it looks like to develop an art practice. So I had that, but really the obstacles come in trying to pursue it full time as a career. That's where you come in with the hindrances, because people look at art as a hobby.
Yes.
And whether it's music, whether it's writing poetry, or doing stuff like I do, where you're painting and drawing and stuff, they see it as a thing that you do in your free time, and not necessarily a thing that you can do as a career. But
Right.
art is all around us.
Right.
We're sitting in art right now. Somebody had to design that chair. Somebody designed those clothes.
Right.
There's an artist who's working on this video when we're done taping, right? So when you look at things from that perspective, you can kind of get a better understanding of what it is to be a professional artist.
Right.
You just have to talk about it a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
So getting people to take it seriously is the biggest hindrance, because folks don't always like to pay because they see it as a hobby,
Yes,
right?
I
So,
understand,
but
yeah.
when you're passionate about something and you take it seriously and you pursue it like a business, when you start to treat it like this is business, then they start to change their mindset around it, because they'll see that you're doing certain things that show you move differently. And that's where I'm at right now. So I actually just recently left corporate America to become a full-time artist. So this is, I won't say it's new, because I did try it before. I just didn't have a plan. And I was much younger than I am now.
Now you're a man with a plan.
Exactly. Now I'm a man with a plan. I've learned a lot of things over these last 15 years being an artist, and really treating it like it was a second full-time job. That was pivotal. In this journey of mine. So I knew I had this dream, I know I had this passion, and I couldn't let it go. So no matter what job I worked on, in some way that job paid my passion. It funded my dream. So I've had studios, I've had opportunities to travel and all that stuff, and without that job I wouldn't have been able to do it. And now I'm at a point where the job was getting in the way of the dream. So there used to be some balance there, but the way God works is when you start to lean into those gifts that you're given and those talents that you have, doors start to open. And as those doors begin to open, I started to realize that other doors were closing on the other path that I was on. Certain opportunities that I thought were going to be good for me weren't. And actually some were kind of disappearing because the company was going through certain changes. And I have made it a point to really set intentions when I went into this last company that I worked for, and I said that would be the last company that I'm a part of, and I didn't want to retire from corporate America. So setting those intentions, when you put stuff out there,
Right.
sometimes that higher power will hear you, and they will make it so. And so the time for me to leave actually came earlier than I expected, and I wanted to reach a certain level of income, and I got that. And then all of a sudden, these great opportunities start coming my way, and they weren't work related. So I made the decision to transition.
One of the ministers preached a sermon one time. It was called Connecting the Dots. He said you get one of those little things, you go from A and then you go to W and go, and you're like, what is this picture supposed to be? And then when you finish, you got a beautiful rose. And sometimes it seems that you said the higher power, God, he sends on, and you're like, why is this happening? And why is this happening? But when it all comes and you're like, yeah.
So I was just having a conversation with an artist yesterday, and we were just talking about just artists in general. And we were saying that, because we both kind of have a similar background. She's actually a lawyer, so she got some corporate background in her as well. Very talented artist. And she was saying that traditional workplace experience is what propels us forward as artists, because we know how to handle ourselves in certain settings. And that business acumen that comes with working in the corporate setting helps you with understanding how certain things work, how people think, how to kind of speak the language of people who are not artists, right? We can talk about the meaning of a painting and our technique and our style till we're blue in the face, but that person's eyes will be glossed over and they'll be falling asleep on us, right? Because it's not that interesting to them. They just want to see the pretty picture, or they want to hear the message, or they want to get whatever feeling is supposed to be invoked by the piece, right? But it helps, especially now for me as an artist who's doing this as business. I can do things like scheduling. I can do things like understand what it means to deal with supply chain, right? People don't always think about this with artists, but I sell merchandise. I create a product. My paint is a supply that has to come into my production facility, right? My studio. I have to think about where to get the best prices, where I can buy certain things in bulk, like canvas, for instance, or taking it a step further, the other merchandise that I sell are things like T-shirts and coffee mugs, and I got a pair of shoes.
I was going to say sneakers.
Like I got sneakers now, right? So actually, here's a good example when talking about supply chain. In China, unfortunately, the COVID numbers have gone up. They've kind of skyrocketed a bit in certain areas of the country. That directly affects my ability to supply the sneakers that I just dropped on my website. So lo and behold, I just dropped a new product, just released, and now it's taking over a month for people to get their orders. I have to explain that to my customer. I have to kind of look at, what is actually causing this. And so I did a little research, and what's happening in China is they're doing stuff like closing down highways and things like that to prevent people from traveling around too much to spread COVID. So that means it's not necessarily the production side of it, it's the logistics side of this that's a problem. And so if I didn't think like how big businesses kind of think, I wouldn't have probably had the idea to look into that far. So it's helping me so I can understand certain aspects of doing business. And now I know that this one product is held up because it's coming from overseas, but I have other products on my website that are made here in North America, so they're not delayed. So I'm good there.
I was looking out there, and I was like, oh, I would love to have something. So I guess I have to wait for the sneakers, right?
Well, you can order it. It's just gonna take a while for it to get here.
Yeah,
you're just not gonna get it till May.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's so wonderful though. Question for you: when you come up with, I know I write lyrics, so something may move me to write something about something that's sad or happy, or I'm mad about something, and I write. Is it the same way when you're coming up with a theme for a painting? Is it something that you saw, something that bothered you, something that was beautiful that makes you come up with a theme for a piece of art?
Absolutely. So a lot of my work has been based on life experiences. Like I said before, it's about connecting people, right? I want to establish a connection with my viewer. The way that I do that is through the emotion in what's depicted. We don't all have the same exact experiences, the same exact way, but we do know what it feels like to go through a struggle. We know what it feels like to feel like you finally reach the light at the end of the tunnel, and you have that relief. We know what it feels like to go through certain matters of social justice, right? Either we're affected by it directly ourselves, or we know somebody who's been affected by things like that. And so I use art to make statements for which words are not enough, right? Sometimes we don't have the vocabulary to articulate the exact feeling or the exact thing that we want to get across. I'm not a wordsmith. I'm not a writer. I'm a painter. And what I know I can do is make you feel something on that canvas. And if I can get you there, then we can have a discussion about what's going on, right? So some of the stuff is my own story. Some of it is things that have moved me. I've shifted from focusing on my own things because I've dealt with the struggles that I've had, and I've gotten past a lot of the stuff that I was talking about in my artwork. So I had to find other things that I'm passionate about. And so now it's about what else in the world drives me. What else moves me? What is intriguing to me and that I think people need to talk about? And even with social justice, I've actually flipped it. So there are a lot of artists who make paintings about police brutality and civil rights and things of that nature. And, you know, not to say that I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do it a little differently because I don't have to put myself in a position where I'm feeling angry and sad and infuriated all the time in order to paint things like Black joy. Right? Black joy in itself is a form of resistance, and that is a way that I would like to kind of shift the narrative. We're a people who go through a lot.
Yeah.
Like we have dealt with many obstacles, but that's not all we are.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We still find reasons to celebrate who we are,
Yes.
what we are, where we come from, knowing our history, knowing, you know, the things that we've gone through here, but also knowing that through it all, we still are a great people. We are a mighty people, a resilient people, and we still have a reason to smile. And so I'm looking at kind of understanding what Black joy really is. What does it mean? What does it look like? And so there are certain pieces that I'm going to create that are depicting what I'm learning and what I'm seeing in terms of that theme.
Yeah.
But there'll be some other stuff kind of sprinkled in there. Like I'm not going to lose sight of what's going on.
Right. Right.
The message is through it all, we still have joy. We still have reasons to celebrate.
Yeah.
We are still here, right?
Yeah.
And we have to acknowledge that, because when it's all doom and gloom,
Right.
what's the message that we're really sending?
People lose hope.
That's all we are, right? We lose hope.
We lose hope. Yeah, I love that's why when I read about you and stuff, I wanted you to come on because I need young men like you, young people, whatever, to give hope, to be positive. And there's just so much negativity out there. And of course, we know this is the real world. We know what's happening out there.
Yeah.
We see it every day.
Absolutely.
But we need to see something positive that shows people that they can make it. You know, this is not the end, that type of thing. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
I have a granddaughter. She visits, and as soon as she hits my door, she's 3 years old. First thing she said, "Grandma, I want to paint." So she's just fascinated by taking that brush, dipping it in the paint, and she's just fascinated. Out of all the other things, she loves to paint. And I know that you started at a young age, knowing at what age did you actually know, like I want to do this? I mean, not thinking about a career at the time, of course, because you were a child.
Yeah. My dad got me a sketchbook when I was like maybe 7 years old.
Okay.
Now he drew and stuff and everything when he was in his I think he was in his 20s, and he didn't pursue it as like a profession or anything, but it was something that meant a lot to him. It was something that, you know, it was a part of him and who he is. I'm happy to see that he's doing it again now. I love to see it, actually. But he started me off with drawing and stuff, and I was just drawing little cartoon characters and things of that nature as a kid. I didn't really start painting until high school. Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't start painting until
Okay.
years after I had gotten my first sketchbook. It was all just drawing and,
Oh,
and
okay.
things. So, and then in high school, I was able to take some art classes, and I did like watercolor and stuff like that. It's funny that the schools that have you do watercolor first, but it's the hardest paint to work with. I always found that to be interesting. But yeah, I was very young when I started drawing. When I started to take it seriously, I gotta say I was in high school, because I realized the value that it added to my life and what it was really doing for me. I noticed, you know, every time I was feeling something, I had to start drawing. I had to go to that sketchbook, you know. I was setting things up in my room, like little still lifes and drawing and all that, and I got good at it, and I started to get good feedback on my work, and that encouragement came at a time when honestly I didn't feel that great about myself. The situation at home was not ideal in any way. You know, just kind of, you know, dealing with the frustrations of watching my mother's condition get worse and worse, and then also being the target of her frustration. So when you got
Yeah.
somebody who's going through something really serious,
Yeah.
a lot of things get said that they wouldn't really mean,
Yeah.
but as a child, you don't process it that way. And so, my self-esteem was very low in high school because of that. And so, hearing the encouragement that I got from my artwork, that was very uplifting, and it came at a time when I desperately needed to hear something
Yes.
good about
Yes.
myself.
Yes.
So
yes.
it became the thing that made me feel as though I have some value in this world and I have something to offer.
Oh my, yes, yes. That's why your message. I want people when this comes out to really share it, because do you know how many kids are suffering from that now?
Yeah.
Low self-esteem, and I don't know if because the parents had issues, they bring it down to their kids, and then those same kids going to bring it down to their kids and say things. But it's so important to send positive messages to children, especially to let them know.
So the thing with and I had to work this out in therapy. The thing with the stuff that we deal with as kids is we're not old enough to understand. Even as a teenager, I wasn't old enough to understand what was going on in my mother's mind. I just saw everything that was going on in the house, and I'm essentially from the outside looking in with regards to her experience.
Yeah.
As an adult looking back, some 20 years later, I get it. I know where that frustration was coming from.
Yeah.
I know why she would lash out the way that she did. She was independent and doing everything she needed. She ain't need nobody for nothing. Like, my mother had it going on. And then this disease came in and turned her world upside down.
Wow.
And she was depressed. And she was suffering. And when you're in that state, it's hard to be positive. And so the people who are close to you are usually the ones that you end up hurting.
Yeah.
And I know that if she was not in that condition, if she didn't have MS, and if she wasn't dealing with what she was dealing with, she wouldn't have treated me that way.
Of course.
But I had to be an adult to understand that. And that's tough. That's really tough to deal with growing up. And so this is actually the stuff that I talk about when I go to schools and I talk to kids. This is the subject. I'm an open book. It took me a long time to get to this point where I would talk about this experience, but it needs to be said because there are kids right now who are going through similar situations, and they feel as though they're alone.
Yeah.
I know that feeling very well.
Yes.
And if I can, at least for the hour or so that I'm talking to them, let them know that they're not by themselves, at least for that moment, I know that gives them some reprieve. I know that helps them.
Yes, yes. Even as an adult, it was difficult for me to deal with my mom, but she had dementia. And I would go to see her, and she would say, "Who are you?" And I would say, "I'm your daughter, I'm your baby." And she would say, "I don't know nothing about that." And even knowing what she had and all of that, I know the effect it had on me, and I was an adult, so I can't even imagine a child. So, so what you do is so important, because so many kids need to hear that. People wonder why some of these kids have. My son teaches children too. Why these kids have so many issues and stuff in school? It's not. All of them don't just want to be bad. It's because they're dealing with things they don't know how to deal with it. So people like you that come and have that positive message for them, so they understand. It's just so important.
Yeah, there's that old school saying, "Children are meant to be seen and not heard," right? I think it's a terrible saying.
Yeah,
it's a terrible saying. These are children are people. They are people who are still developing. And I think that when you don't allow a child to be heard and to express their feelings, they don't learn exactly how to do that, right? Because they're being shunned away. They're being told, go in the room, go over there, right? And when you don't allow them to have a voice, they don't learn how to use their voice. And at an earlier age, when you're allowed to speak up, you know, and that doesn't mean cross the line of respect, right? Don't disrespect, you know, don't put up with that. But when you allow a child to learn how to articulate the things that they are going through, they become better people for it as adults. And they learn how to deal with these things. They find other methods to manage, you know, tough situations, right? So in my opinion, it is very harmful to treat a kid like they should just be seen and not heard. Because that's telling them that they're not valid. That's telling them that they don't matter. And that's ignoring the fact that they have needs. And you know, we have basic needs like food, shelter, and clothing, but we also need to feel like we're loved. And that's not a message of love to me.
And that you're being heard.
Exactly. Exactly. These kids need a way to express themselves, and I think art is among the healthiest ways of doing that. But we can take it a step further and maybe ask a child why they express themselves in the artistic way that they do. Because if you sit down with a child and you give them a sketchbook and you have them drawing, eventually they're going to draw some things that might disturb you. And it's probably because you didn't think that they were going through something internally. And now you got to address it. And as adults, we have to know how to address it. We have to learn how to address that. So having conversations with them, you know, and, you know, just kind of understanding that we have a different level of maturity, but, you know, kind of meeting them where they are and asking questions. A child will open up to you real quick. It's happened to me. I had a one-on-one with a kid, and it wasn't planned. Like I was in an after-school program, and you know, I'm competing with other activities, and there were some things that were a little more interesting than art that day. But this boy happened to want to stay in my art class, and so I sat down with him. We hung out for an hour, and sure enough, while we're drawing and going through the lesson, he started asking me some questions about some things that he's dealing with. Fortunately, I had a similar experience to him, so I was able to give him some real advice. But it's no coincidence that that happened. He felt safe. He also felt respected. When somebody feels safe and respected, never mind whether they're a kid or adult, when anybody feels safe and respected, you can build a connection with them.
Even at a really young age, I had a experience with my granddaughter. Again, she's only 3. Somebody called. She loves her time with me. She just absolutely loves it because I'm silly, I'm crazy. We do all kinds of crazy stuff. But anyway, and I was talking to them on the phone a little too long, so she starts flipping the Play-Doh out of the thing, stuff that she knows she's not supposed to do. And so instead of saying, getting off the phone and, you know, spanking or anything like that. And I said, why did you do that? You know you're not supposed to do that. And I said, was it because you thought Grandma was ignoring you? And she said, yeah. And it was something that simple. Now, if I would have been just hollering, go to your room, blah, 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 I would have never known. So now I know if somebody calls and I may answer the phone and say, let me call you back. You know, because my grandbaby's over. She comes over maybe once a week, and I need to, you know, give my time to her. But, you know, even at that young age, that's what she said, because Grandma wasn't paying attention to
And
it.
imagine how much she appreciates you respecting that time that y'all spend together. Like, imagine what that means for her. I absolutely love it. They have you know, like I said, I read all about you and stuff like that. So, can you tell me about it was called the Audacious Agency exhibit that you were involved in? Yeah, so that's a big exhibit for me. Wow, you really digging deep now. Audacious Agency. So It was a traveling exhibit,
Okay.
and it was about having tough conversations and creating a safe space for that,
Mm-hmm.
and really putting color in predominantly white spaces.
Okay.
Literally what it sounds like.
Yes. Okay.
So here we are, this group of black and brown artists
Mm-hmm.
who are creating pieces that talk about a number of issues that black and brown people face
Mm-hmm.
and have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and
Okay.
opening the opportunity up for people who don't share that experience to engage us
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
discussion about that.
Right.
Audacious Agency was all about connecting people,
Mm-hmm.
but it was also about educating people.
Okay.
And it came at a time that a lot was going on in this country, and we were able to we were able to go to Yale Divinity School
Wow.
and have our first show was
Yeah.
in Yale Divinity School. Now, what I didn't know was Yale Divinity School is a little different than what people may imagine a divinity school to be. They are highly involved in activism, and they encourage it, they push it. Like this is, I did not know this before going there,
And
but
I didn't
one
know this before you said.
they have a strong history in activism, especially
Really.
amongst their students and alumni. And one of the artists in our group, Shelley Best,
Mm-hmm.
she went to Yale Divinity School,
Really.
and she was able to work it out so that we had our showing in one of their gallery spaces there, and we were able to kind of stir up some emotion a little bit.
Okay.
I remember one time, I think this might have been while we were hanging the show or something like that. Somebody said that our work was propaganda.
Okay.
Now, some folks would get offended by that. I wasn't. I thought we were doing our job
Mm-hmm.
because it stirred something up.
Yeah.
It made somebody feel something. And
Mm-hmm.
although they may have disagreed with what we were showing
Mm-hmm.
in our pieces, it said something.
Mm-hmm.
It said to me that the statements needed to be
Mm-hmm.
there
Mm-hmm.
because somebody somewhere needed to be educated on what's really happening out here, and they didn't want it,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that indicates, okay, there's a problem that needs to be addressed here.
Mm-hmm.
And our work was up there for a very long time. It was there for about 3 months.
Wow.
um,
Wow.
so, we had a couple events and stuff there and everything, and it went really well. Like we had some great discussions there, and it was a great experience for me as an artist to be able to see our work put into action that way. Then we did Torrington. We went to Five Points Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
We had that space for a little while, and same thing. We had artist
Mm-hmm.
talk there and everything. But the number one location that I would say we had was Windsor Art Center, and that was our third location
Really.
in the traveling exhibit, and we had some phenomenal conversations. We had an artist talk. We did a private artist talk for Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority,
Wow.
which was wonderful.
Wow.
Then we also did like a public artist talk as well. There was a performance part to our exhibit there. It was called Stillness in Motion,
Mm-hmm.
in which spoken word artists and actors did monologues
Wow.
and performed and interpreted some
Wow.
of the work in the
Wow.
show. And like what they did just blew me away.
Uh-huh.
It just blew me away. Like we were meeting with them, with the group, to kind of get an idea of what they
Mm-hmm.
were doing, and they would show us little tidbits here and there. And actually, one of the artists, Sue Lynette, who is
Mm-hmm.
now on the board at Windsor Art Center,
Okay. Yes.
she was in that performance as well,
Wow.
and she was also one of the artists in the group in Audacious Agency. So it was me, Sue Lynette, Shelley Best, and Keith Clater.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it just it was just a wonderful experience. Like I really loved that show because that was that was a good example of arts and activism,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because we accomplished what we set out to do, in that we moved people emotionally, we engaged them intellectually, and we were able to have the tough discussions that need to be had. People were receptive to it. We got a lot of questions. I made some new friends. Like it was really just all around a
Yeah.
great experience. I have to say, Audacious Agency, out of the many exhibits that I've done, Audacious Agency is in my top 3.
Wow. I'm glad I
Yeah.
brought it up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that was an important exhibit for me.
Yeah. Wonderful. I know there's something coming up called the Harford Love Project.
Yeah, so Harford Love Project,
Yeah.
this is also a cool thing. So I'm not actually an artist in it. I'm leading the project. So
Stop it.
yeah,
Stop
yeah.
it.
So this is a way for
Love it,
me
love
to
it.
do the arts advocacy,
Yeah.
right? And that I'm creating an opportunity
Okay.
for artists to get paid,
Wow.
to have their work on display. Like, they're creating a design for bus shelters and utility boxes along Albany Avenue.
Wow.
And basically, the way that it worked was we put out an open call to artists, and we had a form that folks filled out. They submitted a bio. They explained their connection to the neighborhood, because that's very important, having a connection to the neighborhood, because the work is supposed to celebrate Albany Avenue.
Okay.
So they also submitted some samples of their work. The way that we manage the selections of the artists is we had the neighborhood revitalization committees. There's 2 on Albany Avenue. You have Upper Albany, and then you have Clay Arsenal.
Okay.
They did the selections. They voted on the work.
Okay.
So I didn't choose anybody, and
All
I didn't want to, honestly, because
yeah.
because of who I am in the arts community. I know too many people.
Exactly.
So it would be very easy to make this biased. So I made it so I didn't touch the voting.
Wonderful.
And we had the NRZs do the voting, and that's also a way of engaging the actual community, right? So we let the community make the selections of the people whose work will be on there, regardless of what they do or anything like that. And the other part of the voting is we scored it. So we made the highest scoring portion of the vote be the connection to the neighborhood.
Okay. Okay.
Then we rated the samples of the work and their like, their bio, their background, or whatever. Those were rated at the same level. So what really got you selected is your connection to Albany Avenue,
Okay.
or your connection to the North End. A
So would you have to live around that area, or you
just do you do business over there?
Okay.
Do you have family there?
Okay.
Did you grow up there? Did you go to school on Albany Avenue? Things like that.
Yeah,
Do you have
yeah.
any history at all with Albany Avenue?
Yeah.
Because you have to understand the community a little bit in order to make something about the community.
Exactly.
And I'm happy to say that we got over 60 entries.
Wow.
And out of those 60 entries, because so many people actually tied on their scoring, we chose 33 artists.
Wow.
And so what ended up happening is some people, they had the options of selecting either to do a bus shelter or a utility box, or they could select both, depending on what the voting was, because we didn't know what the results would be. So they the highest scoring artists who selected a bus shelter got that. There were only 9 bus shelters. So these are the top 9 scores of the voting process. They got the bus shelter, and then we looked at the rest of the scoring, and unfortunately some folks disqualified themselves because they only selected one option, which was the only thing we had 9 of. So I can't do anything about that. If you don't want to do a utility box, then what can I do?
Yeah.
But anyway, the remaining 24 artists, we basically went by the highest scores. And if you select a utility box, that's what you got. And so, like I said, there were a lot of tie scores. There would have been a minimum of about 17 artists, but we went with the max number because there were so many artists and there were so many ties. It was kind of hard to, who really wants to choose somebody off of a decimal point? It's just too close. So we have 33 artists who will be paid to create a design that will go in a very public display.
Yes. Oh my
And
God.
it's going to be printed as a wrap and installed onto these surfaces. So the artists don't actually have to paint anything
I was
onto the
going to ask.
box. They don't have to paint anything on the bus shelter.
Okay.
Now, the cool part about this is since it's a wrap, it's easily replaced, which means if something gets damaged or marked up or something like that, all you got to
Wow.
do is print another one, put it out there.
Wow.
The artist doesn't have to do any more work.
Oh my God.
They
Because
get
I was
paid
going
for
to
the
say, I was
design.
thinking I was going to be riding down Auburn Avenue
Yeah.
and see people out there with their
Yeah.
thing.
And
Okay.
they even got a chance, they got an opportunity to select which part of the neighborhood they wanted to be in. So some
Yeah.
wanted Upper Albany, some wanted Clay Arsenal. We have a few requests for very specific ones, but we're going to see what we can do about that. I'm going to try to, I'm going to try to work it out so that people
Yeah,
can get what they
yeah.
requested. It wasn't a lot, but we're going to try to do that because some folks grew up on Albany Avenue area, so they want something in their neighborhood to represent. And I'm gonna do the best that I can to make sure that they get that because I think that's really really cool and
Yeah.
to see how much love this project is getting so far is just amazing, and
Oh
I'm
my
honored to be able to work with the city to do that.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to drive up and down. Cause I mean, I didn't grow up on Auburn Avenue, but I was always over there because our first church was over there.
Yeah.
It was a little like I don't want to call it a storefront, but it was on 687 Auburn Avenue. We were
Okay.
always there as
Wow.
teenagers.
Wow.
So we go up and down the different streets talking to people and stuff like that. So the avenue was a place that I pretty much grew up in. That is so fantastic. So I just can't wait to see. So when they put it on the like the bus shelters, that's where people wait for the bus. So would it be on the glass part, or how is that going to?
It'll be on the glass, so it'll be on the back of the bus shelter.
The back of the bus shelter.
The way that we want to do is have it printed so that you can see it on the inside and the outside. So some of these bus shelters you can walk behind,
Yeah.
and we want to make sure there's something on the back so people can actually look at it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How great is that?
And then the best part about this is we have 2 students.
Okay.
One is 7 years old, and the other
my.
one, I think she's 16.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And you're leading that project.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Look at them dots being connected.
Exactly. Exactly.
I absolutely love it. Let me see what I have here. What is your preferred medium?
My preferred medium is acrylic.
Okay.
Acrylic paint, and I like it because it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I started off drawing. Drawing is something that now it comes naturally to me. I think that I'm better at drawing than I am at painting. So I lean more towards the painting because it's a skill where I'm always developing, and I think that I'm always going to have some kind of challenge with it. And painting is a thing that I can always come back to. Like I'm not going to do a quick painting. Like they're never quick. Drawing, I sketch something out real quick for you.
Yeah.
And then be done with it. But for me, the value as an artist, the most value that I get is in the process of creating the work.
Okay.
So if I can prolong that, it makes it more enjoyable. But yeah, acrylic painting. Lately, I've been messing with oil paints because the style of painting that I do really kind of should be oil because I do a lot of blending and stuff in my work, and I'm very meticulous about that. So I'm starting to experiment now with the oil paints, and I actually just started working on a piece. It's a flower. I'm going to do a series of African flowers specifically. Going back to that Black joy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I like the vibrance of these flowers, the deep color of these flowers.
Yeah.
I want something that when you look at it, you're just going to instantly smile. And that's another way of exploring the joy aspect of this without necessarily depicting people. I don't have to depict people to do that.
Right.
And flowers are beautiful.
Yes, they are.
These flowers just happen to come from the motherland.
Yeah.
These flowers are African. It's paying homage to our roots.
Wow. Oh. Is there anything else you want to talk about before I ask you to give a special message to?
Mm.
Well, I want you to tell people how to get a hold of you. I know we'll put it,
Of course.
on, but
Yeah. So I've been experimenting a little bit with this new world of NFTs and cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
and I see it as a new creative economy. And what's cool about NFTs is you can set a royalty for it. And without going too deep in the weeds on how the blockchains work, just know that there is a data set that
Okay.
never gets erased,
Mhm.
and it's set up that way.
Okay.
And so each transaction, now talking about cryptocurrency here,
Okay.
because you need cryptocurrency in order to purchase an NFT. Each transaction is this irreplaceable piece of data.
Okay.
The next transaction just gets placed on top of it. And
Okay.
so there's this traceability of who owns what, and that's how the value is established in NFT. The NFT itself, NFT meaning non-fungible token.
Say that again, a little slower.
Non-fungible token.
Okay,
There's
non-fungible
a lot of
token.
YouTube videos on
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
or you
okay.
can actually stop by Samia Cafe, where there's a group of Black and brown artists who
Okay.
get together and actually talk about this stuff
Okay.
from 11 to 1
Okay.
at Samia's in Harford. The NFT is a work of art
Okay.
that is digitized. It can be an image of something that you've already created, or it can actually be a digital piece that you've made.
Okay.
It can also be a song, it can be a poem, it can be a movie, a music video, it can be
Wow.
a number of different things.
Wow.
And that that piece of art is then traded virtually
Okay.
using cryptocurrency to pay for it. Now the cool part about using the cryptocurrency to pay for it is it's all traceable. So I can now see who owns my product that I put out
Wow.
into this marketplace, right?
Wow.
So let's say a celebrity purchases my work. They don't have to necessarily purchase it from me. They can purchase it from somebody else that has bought and sold my art.
Right.
I get a royalty off of that every time. So let's say I set a 10% royalty, and this person who purchased it, let's just throw a random number out there for $200, right?
Okay.
Let's say this person is like more knowledgeable than I am in this crypto space, right? They found a marketplace where this thing can sell for $2,000.
Okay.
I've already made $200 off my sale.
Okay.
They're going to sell for $2,000 in this new marketplace. Some celebrity picks it up. I get 10% of that.
Wow.
Now I've made $400 off of my artwork.
Wow.
And that's a way of building residual income for an artist. Now there's a lot of talk about adding some kind of utility to NFTs. And what I mean by that is making it more than just a picture, making it more than just a song, adding some more value to it. Like it could be a fundraiser.
Okay.
It can be something where you have exclusive access to, I don't know, a club of people who own these NFTs, right?
Okay.
It can be an exclusive deal that you get on my website
Okay.
to products that are only allowed to be purchased by people who own my NFT.
Wow.
It can be a number of different things. Like the sky is really the limit with the
That is
utility
so,
to these
that
things.
is so interesting.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert yet. I'm just put that out there. I am not an expert, but it's very exciting to learn this stuff because it's kind of in its infancy a little bit, and it's already $1 billion industry.
Wow.
Over the next few years, there's a strong possibility that the crypto and NFT market can become $1 trillion industry.
Wow.
So it is something that people want to explore and get into. I'm not saying everybody needs to mint an NFT, but if you get into it and you start buying and trading them, like there's potential profit in there for you if you do it right, and you get the knowledge that you need before you go into it, and make sure you talk to people about it. So that's something that's a new venture for me. It's something that I'm exploring now. I have an NFT that's out there right now. I put it up as an edition of 10. I'm happy to say that one of those editions has sold.
Wow.
I just recently found out who it was that bought it, so I'm kind of excited about that. And
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. So it's getting out there, and folks are learning a lot about it. There's new developments like every week on this.
Wow.
There's conventions on this. Like, if you really want to get deep into it, like there's so much information out there for people to learn, and now is really the time to do it. Especially us Black and brown folk who sometimes miss the bus on things.
Yeah.
It's time to hop on.
The music thing just caught my
Yeah,
ear.
you can turn music into an NFT. It's minted the same way. What you're doing is you're uploading a file into this virtual marketplace, and you set the utility on it. You set the royalty.
Yeah.
You basically are creating like this virtual contract that says whomever owns this, this is what you get. This is how it's used. You can also determine where it goes, like in terms of, in this metaverse, right? This new virtual world that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You can determine how it's used there. And like there's a lot that goes into it, but it's relatively easy to make one and put it out there. You don't actually have to create something new to do it. If you have a file for a song that you've written, that can be made an NFT within 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I encourage everybody to at least learn and get some knowledge on it. If you don't want to participate, that's fine, but at least know what people are talking about when they discuss these things, because it is definitely something that I think is here to stay. It may evolve and it may look a little different a few years from now, but knowing where it came from and looking at its evolution and following it is very important.
Wow. That is so interesting. I have to talk to you about it after the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know if there was anything else you wanted to talk about. I don't want to, because like I said, this is all about you.
I mean,
anything else you want to?
I can talk for hours and hours and hours.
Well, I know one thing I wanted you to talk about is I wanted you to give a message to young artists, well, old artists too, but especially young people, because those are the ones who really are struggling in a time like this, because everything just seemed to be filled with so much negativity. But if you just give a positive message to these young people who, every time you turn on the TV, you just seeing just so much stuff negative, but something positive that they can hang on to.
Okay.
And I want you talking.
Talk to
your
which
camera.
this one here?
Yeah.
So I talked about my struggles earlier in life and how I came to become an artist. What I didn't talk about was all the people who told me that I can't do it. What I didn't talk about was how I was made to feel as though it's something that nobody can be successful at, even though it's all around us. Like literally, you can look around the room that you're in, wherever you are, and you will definitely see artwork. It may not look like how you may have been taught that art looks like, but it's art. And with that being said, no matter what it is, it doesn't matter if you're an artist, it doesn't matter if you're a engineer or a train conductor. If there's something that you want to do in your life, and it is something that you are passionate about, and it is something that has meaning to you and gives you a sense of value, never stop doing it. Always do it. Always make it a part of your life. It may not become your full-time job until later in life. It may not ever become a full-time thing that you do, but never stop doing it. If you have a dream, hold on to that dream for dear life, and make sure that whatever you do as you develop and as you grow and become mature, you never lose sight of the things that mean the most to you. Do what gives you a sense of value. Do what gives you a sense of pride and meaning in this world. There's a reason why it does that for you. It's meant for you. If you have a goal, keep working towards it. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't be what you want to be in this world. Just do it. Just be that. Do everything you possibly can to hold on to that dream of yours. Do everything you possibly can to make that thing become a reality. Took me a long time to realize that. I never let go of my dream, but I can tell you right now, I'm living my dream. I have been for the past 3 months in a very big way. Never lose sight of what it is that means the most to you.
Oh my, what a powerful message.
Yeah.
I thank you so much for being with me today. You have been so inspiring. And I'm not an emotional person. If you ask any of my friends, they'll tell you I'm not. But you make me get a little full here, but I really appreciate you, and
Thank you.
I appreciate you being open and honest and telling, your life story to help somebody else. And I just, again, thank you for taking the time to come and sit with me today.
Well, it's not a problem. I appreciate the
Yeah,
invitation.
so
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to all the big, when I drive down the avenue and I see all this stuff, I'm going to say, I know the person that was leading that project,
You
so I'll
never
be able
know.
to
You
brag
might
a
know
little
some
bit.
of the artists.
Yeah, the artists too.
33
Oh,
of them.
right. Oh, wow.
You might be connected to somebody.
Oh, but again, I thank you for spending this time with me. And to the audience, I want you to, we share so many negative things. We can't wait to tell the bad things. But I want you, please, when this YouTube video comes out, I want you to please share it. Share it as much as you can. Share the positive. I really thank you guys for watching and supporting Win TV, and I'm asking you to support this young man. And I know he's got bigger and even bigger and better things than what he's already talked about coming up. So I thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.